Hello, Internets! I'm HamsterBomb.
And I'm Zach.
And this is HITBOX, the gaming podcast where we talk about whatever we darn feel like talking about video games and gaming history and all sorts of fun stuff that we enjoy and you may or may not. Piss off if you don't.
Why are you here?
Why are you here?
Wow. Look, I know you are in need of background noise, but surely...
You can do better than us.
Yeah, right.
We are not worth it. I would hope you would at least have some interest in where video games have got us in all this time. And if you have about an hour to kill, hopefully we're able to pull this off in an hour like usual, even though the series is supposed to be a half-hour show. We've never accomplished that goal.
Nope.
Then we are going to go through yet another year in gaming history, and this year we're going to be talking about 1999.
Yeah.
Right before the big millennia twist over.
That's right.
It was a really weird year too. Like everything was branded like 2000. You know, and we were gonna get like Pokemon 2000. Yeah, like everything. Vacuum cleaner 2000.
The nuclear reactors were gonna melt down. 2000.
And people were it really was a strange time.
Yeah.
We're probably some of the youngest people who actually remember that time too.
Yeah, I
now that I think about it. So yeah, if you're around our age in your 30s, you probably remember this time as well, which means that you may have a lot of nostalgia for some of these wonderful games we're going to be talking about that this is a good year. Though, I'm gonna say, coming out on a limb, I don't think this is one of those, like, banger, holy crap, what do I do with my money years? This is just a good, comfortable year that I'm glad to see stuff happen and will be very important for later. But for now, it's just like, this is cool.
Yeah, like 1998 and I feel like 2000, 2001 are when we get those big influential...
Holy crap, yes.
Holy crap games, yeah.
We're talking about a lot happens in a single year in video games. I know we're flying through these, but think about just like last year. It's kind of easy to think about that in context. So much just happened last year. You'd probably be amazed like how many things actually were crammed into just last year.
Yeah.
So think about this, but now we're going all the way back in time. We have to research and figure out when exactly did this thing release? Or wait, no, Japan got that in this year, even though we got it next year.
Yeah.
We want to make sure we talk about it when it actually released.
Yeah.
Universal.
My silly American sensibilities keep messing things up.
Yeah, the reason we decided on doing it that way was because that's when the anniversaries are, and it would be kind of weird if we didn't, and people might think we glossed over something and undercut it. We don't want to do that.
Yeah.
So anyway, we want to start off with the game that we are going to be playing throughout this episode, and
Heck
it is...
yeah.
Zach, I love this game so much.
I do too.
This is this may be one of the most nostalgia-happy games for me. And even just that opening, like, attract mode that the game has on its menu, the music, the cuts, I booted this up and remembered all of it. And I was like, I have to watch the whole thing through every time before I even start this sucker up. We're talking about Roller Coaster Tycoon.
Heck yeah.
But to actually play such a thing with you guys, we're actually going to be playing Roller Coaster Tycoon Classic, which, thank you to Zach, he actually donated this to the channel so we could do this. And obviously, I played some of the campaigns already because I couldn't help myself.
It's a very easy game to fall back into and just keep playing.
It is. Now, I have mentioned in a review video some of the newer stuff that eventually the owners of this will switch over to Frontier. This game is developed solely by Chris Sawyer.
Yep.
One dude, published by Atari, but going over to Frontier, they're going to turn it into they started with Roller Coaster Tycoon 3, turned it into 3D. It was big, it was crazy, but then they went to the Planet Coaster, Planet Zoo series. They did all that stuff. And they're very big, and they do a great job with that.
Oh, absolutely.
And I've played some of those lately, but going back to this, it's just a different thing. It's a whole different kind of comfort. It's so simple, almost. Just looking at what you have to work with.
Yes.
Yeah, it's just a simple influx of money coming in, money going out, and you're figuring out how to manage your cash and reach your goals. In this case, we're playing campaigns. The campaigns were added in Roller Coaster Tycoon 2, I believe.
Yeah, there were scenarios in the first game that you had to play to unlock, but yeah, there was like whole like beginner, intermediate, and like advanced like campaigns you could play through. Yeah, in Roller Coaster Tycoon 2. And if this kind of game looks familiar to a lot of people, especially if you're tuned into the indie scene, there's a game called Parkitect, which is a modern take on these classic 2D style roller coaster management games, which is a lot of fun. I need to get it on sale at some point, but yeah, like Alex said, it's a park management game. You're basically playing the park god and just placing down whatever you feel like.
Mm-hmm. Whatever you like. When you get to the Planet Coaster games, or even Roller Coaster Tycoon 3, now I really love the campaigns in those, don't get me wrong, but this is much more simple. This isn't saying like, okay, I'm going to put you in this limited scenario, you have this huge loan you've got to pay off before this month, this inspector's coming in, you got to do this and this and this, and it just goes on and on and on. This is very simple. Usually it's just like by the end of your third year, have this much cash in revenue or have this many guests in your park. And it really, the only way to solve that is to just do whatever you like and expand.
Yep.
It's very simple, very cozy. This was all over the place. This was such a cool game.
Wasn't the original...
Still is.
Wasn't the original game actually a serial pack-in?
I am not sure about that. I was not that lucky. I actually...
Me neither.
Though I remember I was lucky enough I got to actually play this. There was like 2 computers, I think, at my grade school that had this installed on it. And everybody else was like, man, I'm tired of Minesweeper and Space Cadet and frickin' screw Mavis Beacon. I'm done with that nonsense. I want to play Roller Coaster Tycoon. That looks awesome. Oregon Trail's fine, whatever. But I want to play this.
Right.
And of course, like that was the hot thing to get to. And then of course, kids get their own copies, they play them at home, if they even had a computer that was strong enough to do it. It took me a while. Computers were just not that common back then, and of course having the specs to even do this, even though this, by all accounts, is a very simple game. You can see it's all sprite-based. I did pause it on here, because of course it's a management thing, and while we're going through this episode and not talking about it, I am going to be trying to like pay attention to what I have to do, lay of the land of like where my money is, where I'm losing money, where I'm gaining it, and try to just make sure that everything's safe. I can actually build full roller coasters. You can see there's actually several of them that are already built in here.
Yeah.
There is a limit to how far you can build. Each plot of land does have like its own barriers to it. You can see there's water, there's different hills and terrain, there's all sorts of scenery you can add, destroy.
Dude, I'm already getting images in my head of cool rides like all that go over and through around the island in the center of that lake.
Actually, this is pretty epic right here. You seeing this?
Oh yeah, the dueling coaster.
Let's let this play. This is awesome. This is like 2 different looping coasters running side by side. You can time rides to go together and kind of like have them race.
Yeah, dueling coasters.
They're like looping through each other. Check that out. That's amazing. That's a really cool ride.
And you had to guesstimate. Like there wasn't a lot of modern conveniences that would finish a track for you. You had to like
there's no autocomplete like the new ones.
You had to build backwards, build, delete, build, delete. But yeah, so it's...
And your only real perspective of the game is this isometric angled view. I can rotate, which is under our head right now. You can't quite see it. And that's really it. I can zoom in and out. I can move around the map. And that's the only way that I really have to see anything. And that's fine. It's enough to see everything. Once I actually start getting to building stuff, you'll see that it's really nothing that is too complicated. Once you understand how to use it. I remember the biggest hurdle for me was figuring out how to make elevated paths. And it's a thing that, like, once you have figured it out and you got through the very simple tutorials of getting it, I'm already having problems. See, this is why I wanted to pause. See, people are hungry everywhere, and the game will clue you in on, hey, this is a problem that your guests are having, and you can actually click here on your guests, sort them by everybody, and just like go to actions. What are their thoughts? As you can see, a tremendous amount of people are hungry. So the answer to me is easy money, build a bunch of food stands, which I love the look of the food stands and all sorts of crazy stuff that you can build in here because they're just giant burgers and fries and pizzas.
The cotton candy stall looks like a face.
Yeah, but it helps you, like, at a glance, tell where your stuff is, what's what, how you've organized your park. So it, like, functions very well and efficiently as a video game.
Yeah.
But also, like, mechanically and management-wise, it lets you do so much when it's also simplifying it just enough to where it's not, like, overly taxing. Like, a lot of the newer ones, you have to keep track of so many things.
And I think that's why I bounced off of Planet Coaster, because
you're almost playing menus instead of like this. I'm just point and clicking around and choosing what I want to put and where.
I'm either doing menus or I'm just, like, feeling the need to, like, put so many decorations around my buildings that, you know... Because that's why I love these older games, because I don't have to finagle as much with, like, the aesthetics. The aesthetic is already predefined. I'm just basically taking Legos and just rearranging things how I see fit, where with, like, Planet Coaster or Planet Zoo, you really have to get into the nitty-gritty of, like, decorations and building in order to be able to get a decent park that people like and want to look at. And that's too much for me. And you also have to manage and, like, train every single employee.
Yeah, instead of, like, for example, right here, I will click and make a pizza shop. And boom, now I have a pizza shop. Click, it is open. no more questions. People are already walking up and buying it. I am not paying for a person to work in there and actually do their job.
Right.
Oh, you're also not paying for somebody to run the rides. You're paying a mechanic.
Yeah.
It's trying to make sure, like, minimize all of the craziness that has to happen so that it's not that chaotic, but it's still just enough to where, like, here's a problem, fix the problem. You have so many, like, immediate satisfactions of that loop of feeling like you're the one who made all of this. You did. You creatively fixed the entire park, and you made a ton of money. You became a tycoon.
Exactly.
And you did it by, like, making fun roller coasters. That's the coolest thing that any kid could ever do. And then on top of that, it's a great game for kids because it teaches money management in a really brilliant way. Even though it's unfeasible, like I just clicked and built a whole pizza shop for like what, $200 or something?
Yeah,
$300.
But you got to think that's like 1990s $300. That's different.
That gets you places.
not $300 don't get you much these days, but 1999, ooh boy.
Yeah.
But yeah, and also too, it also is a good thing to teach kids physics because
it's great at that. You can already see, like, building coasters like this, it will measure all sorts of things, like the G-forces.
Yes.
There's like obviously the inertia, everything to make sure that the coaster is going to move at certain speeds. Sometimes you'll have a problem, like say this coaster wasn't making that loop. You might have to add less cars to the train, and now the car is lighter, it will move farther.
Right, or, whenever, like, a train is fuller, it'll act differently than what it was, like, when you were just testing with an empty train, which I didn't understand as a kid, but once it clicked, I'm like, oh my gosh, that's really cool. And this game is just... It's complex. It's complex enough. It's like
I agree.
It's not overly simple, but it's not like overwhelmingly frustrating. Basically, like I find myself with Planet Coaster. Any other thoughts?
It certainly can be. Yeah. But not to rip on those. I love those games too. This is a different kind of game, and it's a different kind of love. And luckily, this is something that I got to play a lot as a kid. I'm very lucky to have gotten to play it. I adore this game. And clearly, for no reason, and I get on myself of having a very strict list of games that I am currently playing, and I'm supposed to be working on those at the moment. I don't want to divert into too many things. We call it irresponsible playing in this household.
I'm guilty of that.
Same here. You saw when I booted this up. I clearly do not have to be playing this, and I already beat 3 campaigns. So, I love this. I'm going to be working on this in the background. Hopefully, Zach, you'll be able, even though I want to talk about a lot of these games too, hopefully you'll be able to steer for a bit because these people are hungry.
Oh, and you need a bunch of janitors. Look at all the puke
this
everywhere.
place is nasty. I got to get to work. So, you.
Yeah, you do that, and I'll move us on to the next game in our list, EverQuest.
EverQuest.
So, a lot of you are probably going to be way too young to kind of know.
We're
EverQuest.
wondering what the heck is that? Why should I sit around and listen?
Right, exactly. So EverQuest was one of the 3 big MMOs that really started the MMO craze that we are still in. It was that, Ultima Online, and Asheron's Call.
Z.
Yes.
Sorry.
To rotate, yes.
And then shift is
shift
down. I can't go that low.
No, because it's on a hill. EverQuest is it was, I think, the first 3D MMO. Not the first MMO with like 3D graphics per se, but it's like the first one or touted 3D graphics, but true 3D. It was created by Sony, and oh my gosh, it was such a huge and influential game. Gosh, how to describe it?
It's weird that in ways that like a game that could be so huge and influential just kind of ends up becoming forgotten and overcrowded by something like World of Warcraft.
Yeah, and that's one thing I will say is that as influential as it was not able to keep up its momentum once a lot of other games came in to try to muscle in on its territory.
Right.
Like you said, World of Warcraft, but that's a little further down the line.
It is.
We're
not there yet.
The thing is,
you could say World of Warcraft might not happen at all were it not for this.
No, exactly. Yeah. So, like, you know, it's a very typical MMO. It's a fantasy world, the world of Norath. You pick your gender, you pick your race, you pick your class, and you just basically, it's like not what's called a theme park MMO, which is like World of Warcraft, where it's like you go from zone to zone, you have stories, and you have like quests you do. It's more of like a sandboxy kind of game where the whole point is like you kind of go out and explore. There's lore and there's like a bit of an overarching plot, but it's not the main focus. The main focus is that you're teaming up with a bunch of other people trying to get that massive multiplayer aspect into the RPG, which was very new at the time. Like online gaming wasn't exactly new-ish but it was very much something that had a lot of untapped potential.
Right.
That
We've covered a few games that have done that, but
yeah, like Neverwinter Nights back in the early '90s. Yeah. Or heck, even other stuff like I said, like Asheron's Call Ultima Online. But this is the one that got really big really quick because it was a little bit more accessible than like some of its competition at the time, and that's what helped drive it, not only in terms of its technology, but its accessibility. I say that now, and in hindsight, like I look at people playing it today, because that's just it. This game is still being supported today.
I love that.
Like there are new DLC packs you can buy for this game
That's
from
so
1999. Cool. Yeah, I think the most recent one came out just last year or 2 years ago. It's not that long. So
it's outrageous.
It is outrageous, but it's really cool, and I'm really happy at the fact that Sony is still supporting this game. Like I think it's free to play, but if you want the DLCs, you have to purchase them and stuff. But who cares? I mean, for a content-rich game that has well over 2 decades of content, you're getting more than your money's worth with this. I never had a chance to play it because I never had the best internet connection as a kid, and I was the type of kid who always wanted to play single-player games anyway. So, but just looking at it from a technical and from like a cultural standpoint, yeah, it has its place in history, and unfortunately, it just could not keep up with future competition. But it's still supported. You can look it up on Steam. It's a lot. I would say if you want to look, give it a shot. It's really cool. But we're gonna move on to like the last PC game that we're going to talk about for this year, and one that I think...
There we go. Sorry, this is what I was trying to do.
Oh, okay. Oh,
so now you can, like, make a wraparound and choose which direction. I clearly have to go one more time this way.
Yep. And then you can build around the information stand.
And now I can descend to flatten back out and connect to this.
Right, so now more people have access to buy their maps and stuff. Yeah, cool.
And umbrellas. That's how you make the real money.
Exactly.
Nothing like a good rainstorm. People get mad. They're like, oh, I don't want to get on the roller coaster when it's raining. I don't care. When it starts raining, all them umbrellas start going up and the cash rolls in.
$10 to $15 per umbrella, and they will buy it.
Oh my goodness, are you kidding me?
No, they will. You can jack that price up to like, just go for like
Let's
8.
Go for 8?
Yeah, go for it. When it rains, does it rain in this scenario? I forget.
It rains. Yes, it will rain.
Yeah, $750.
That's ridiculous. But okay.
They will They are programmed to want to get undercover as soon as possible, and they will be more than willing to buy an umbrella when that time comes.
I guess.
Don't care about the complaints.
You know what? Unfortunately, that's just like real parks.
It is, and that's and that's what it teaches kids too. It teaches them to not trust
there's freaking vandalism in here too.
You can use some security officers or entertainers to keep them entertained.
That's awful.
Yeah.
Now the security officer isn't going to repair anything. I think it's a mechanic.
It's a repairman, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'll just have to throw it. He walked right by it.
Oh no, it was a janitor. Janitors do it.
Well, I need 1 million of them anyway. There's puke everywhere.
Yep.
Blow so much money just on people and.
Yeah. Well, you have to in order to get people to come in. Unfortunately,
most of the campaigns are about like building the fun roller coasters and stuff. This one seems to be like try and solve this park we set up to fail because we built a bunch of cool roller coasters
and nothing else,
and that was it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But for the last PC game we're going to talk about for today, we're going to be talking about Planescape Torment.
All you.
Thank you. All right, cool. So, it is another game in the same vein of get that water ride going, son.
Let's do this.
Yeah. Get a nice you can get a nice queue off the boardwalk and create.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Sorry. It's so easy to get distracted.
I know, it's so distracted. This game is so cool.
It is, because it just lets your imagination run free, and it gives you the tools to create, the simple tools to create as easily as you want.
Right, like, I don't even need to make tracks for this. This is really just, like, recommendations for people. It's just turn to the right.
It's a suggestion, whatever.
Yeah.
But anyway, it was made by Interplay, or published by Interplay, made by Black Isle Studios, and it is in the same vein as Baldur's Gate 1 and 2. However, this is a game that's nowhere near as exploration or combat focused. It's story focused, and its story is arguably probably one of the greatest in all of computer RPGs, in my opinion, and as by a lot of people online. So, you start out as the Nameless One. You have been reborn and reincarnated so many times that you do not even remember who you are anymore. there you have a tattoo on your back that basically is like from the movie Memento. It's a lot of reminders about who you are and what you're doing, but none of that makes any sense to you because you're like, well, what's all this nonsense? Like, as exploration isn't the biggest thing, but it's necessary to like explore the world you're in, which is the world of Sigil, which in the Dungeons and Dragons lore is basically the nexus of all planes of existence in this world. So you could go from Nexus to Eberron to the Forgotten Realms to Dragonlance world, Kryn.
Very cool.
Yes, and so the whole point of the game is that you're just trying to figure out who you are, and the choices you make in the game determine what kind of character you are. So, like, you could go from being, like, this altruistic kind of dude who, like, doesn't always do everything for money or out of the kindness of his heart, but he's a good person. Or you could just be a complete jerk and just, like, extort people, beat people, or just abuse people. And you have such a wide cast of characters that you can get into your party. The first one being Mort, who is a wisecracking, talking, floating skull with only one eye. He is amazing. Like, you wake up on a dissection slab, and he's like, "Oh, hey, Buck. Looks like you just had it rough, huh?" And it's like, "Who are you, and what are you saying?" And it's a very well-written game, too. I know video games are not always known for being well-written. Like, and that's one of the...
At the time, it was a stereotype, yeah.
Yeah, but even now...
We get a lot of narrative games. I guess. But that might be a whole other episode, Zach. Here we go again.
Thanks. Another note to add for later. But anyway, but this is one of those stories that I think really holds up really well because it plays an awful lot with the ideas of, well, what does constant reincarnation do to a man? And, you know, what is a man himself or a woman or whatever? It's like, is it based on who you are or, like, what you do in life? It's such a cool game. They tried to do a spiritual successor with Torment, the Tides of Numenera, which is a completely different setting and a completely different RPG. I haven't tried it because I heard that it doesn't hold a candle to what came out this year. But it's really fun. There's an enhanced edition that's available on Steam, so if you really want to try like the Baldur's Gate games or the Icewind Dale games, please pick it up. You will not be disappointed with what you see in there. So anything else before we move on, or anything in here?
No, let's do it. So
right.
We're kind of at a weird in-between for this. I know we've had some PC. We like to try and jump from console to console, if you count PC a console. Well, we're going to be in-between point and talk about an arcade game that Dreamcast will eventually have.
Exactly.
Crazy Taxi.
Hey, come on down. Let's have some fun with Crazy Taxi.
As I like to call the game, get in! it's the... How do we describe
You're not
this?
wrong.
I have considered streaming the game with you before.
Oh, I would so love to stream this game with you. Dude, I'll bring my Dreamcast next time.
God, I can't stream a Dreamcast? How am I supposed to hook that thing up?
No. I can bring my Dreamcast if you follow my media.
Yes. I see. Bring your Dreamcast. Yes, your Dreamcast.
Yes, of course, with Crazy Taxi 1 and 2.
Yeah, of course.
Sorry, get in! 1 and 2.
Get in! you do, we did physically play this, though. I remember playing it downstairs. It's a lot of fun. So, we joke, but we do actually play it on the Dreamcast.
Oh my god, this game
There's just no feasible way to other do it.
No.
Anyway, we should talk about the game, though.
Yeah, okay, so it is an arcade racing game. So the whole point of the game is you're on a clock, on a timer, and you are a crazy taxi driver. Get it? And so the whole point of the game is that you're supposed to try to get as many fares as you possibly can within the time limit. Every person you take to their destination, be it the KFC, the Levi's store, Capitol Records, nets you not only money, which translates to your score, but additional time in order to get more people to get to more places, to get more time and more score. It's one of those amazing feedback loops where it's like you want to keep getting better and better at the game in order to just keep going longer. And it's a very madcap game, and everyone seems to love that corner by the bridge.
Yeah, what the heck's going on? I thought this was an awesome thing. Like, you could go down by where this water ride, people are riding on a log flume. You can go under roller coasters. No,
man.
They want to go under the bridge like a bunch of ducks trying to catch breadcrumbs. What the heck are they doing?
This bridge is way more interesting than a log
guys,
flume.
I want to tell you, the bumper boats was over here. You're riding on the rowboats. This is the scenic one. People weren't exactly intelligent in this game.
No. Well, there's a guy I watch on YouTube who you watch too, Marcel Voss.
Yeah.
And he created a thing called the Impossible Maze. And all it is... Yeah, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I do.
Oh, and they don't know how to go right. That's amazing. Or left, and that's amazing. They won't. Anyway, the thing with Crazy Taxi that adds some depth to it is that there are shortcuts you can find within the map to try to actually get better times. There's actually cool combos you can pull off with like your reverse and your accelerator, to where you can like just immediately zoom off like a shot. So like if you go from reverse to pressing the gas and then going into accelerate and pressing harder on the gas, you eventually just speed up really quick, so you can go from 0 to 100 in a split second and reduce your time. There's an awful lot of mechanics in this game. It's so cool. It is very much Sega in the 90s, their swan song kind of thing, where it's like they are in their prime, I think. Not their prime. They are in their the last of their golden age, I'd say.
That's a safe way to put it.
Yeah, because it's like the soundtrack.
We'll get to that in a moment. We're gonna lose Sega very soon.
Yeah.
Well, in some ways.
Well, I'd argue we have never gotten the Sega back.
Yeah, the Sega that we knew.
Yeah. But we're in the good part of Sega
That may
right
be
now.
a good transition, actually.
Yeah.
For the sake of us trying to stay on time today.
Play Crazy Taxi. It's available on Steam.
It is a great game. So, speaking of Sega, an awesome thing happens this year, and it is the release of the Sega Dreamcast.
Yeah, baby.
This is Sega actually beating Nintendo and Sony to the punch with making the next-gen consoles. And unfortunately, this would also be the nail in the coffin for Sega and their final console.
One of many nails, unfortunately.
Yeah, one of many nails.
Which is a shame, because for those who know the Dreamcast or have had a chance to play with it, it is a phenomenal system. I still think it's really cool to this day.
It's very cool, yes. I'm not saying it isn't. It was... unfortunately, I think what Sega's problem was they released too many consoles too quickly.
Yeah.
And that we kind of learned from the crash of the video game industry at the beginning of these history episodes with our video game history. We kind of started that right after that was over. So those lessons were not learned by Sega. And it seemed to... their greed kind of took over, because they were on top of the world before this point.
Oh, they were. They absolutely were.
It's just a shame to see them go like that and kind of just turn into a publisher like they are today.
Yeah,
but still, the Dreamcast is launching, and it's got some awesome games that it launched with.
$99.99, baby. That was
Cool.
the marketing campaign.
It was, yeah.
In the States. So we have...
Tell us about some of those.
We have Sonic Adventure as a launch title.
Oh, yeah. This
Holy
was not
crap.
on your list originally.
Yeah, I know, and
I
shake my head at that.
I know, and the thing is, when I went to add games, that I was like, oh, we missed this and this and this. I didn't even remember that game, and you had to put it on there. Like, I was like, hold on, the Dreamcast launched. What about Sonic?
Yeah,
Sonic
I know. Well, see, this is, like I said earlier, this is why we have two sets of eyes to go through these lists.
We really do need it. And obviously, like we just mentioned, we're going to miss a lot of games just inevitably as we go through these. So we're sorry about that.
No,
it's just going to happen. Otherwise, this will be a 10-hour episode.
Oh, God. Well, it already feels like it sometimes.
Let's not do that. Anyway, Sonic Adventure.
So this is the first true 3D Sonic
Real
platforming
3D
game.
Sonic, yes.
It's not like Sonic 3D Blast or Sonic Jam. It's a full-fledged adventure. And so what I love about it is that...
Let's do what you all want to see.
Yeah.
Ooh, except I need a Viking ship in the water.
You got a Viking ship in the water?
Yeah,
you got
a Viking ship in the water.
Oh, they got to swing out far over the water.
With fountains, man.
With fountains. With freaking fountains.
With freaking fountains. I'm sorry. I can't help it.
You have to, man.
Oh.
It's good, buddy. I got you.
I'm sorry.
So, the thing is, it's a thing I like and a thing I also don't really like about the game is that it's one of those games that has 6 playable characters. You have Sonic, Knuckles, Tails, Amy, Big the Cat. I love Big the Cat. I don't care how stupid he is. And E102 Gamma.
Yes.
So Sonic and Tails kind of play similarly to their Genesis counterpart, Genesis games, where it's all about speed, exploring the level, and trying to get a fast time while collecting a lot of rings and such. Amy is a slower thing, and her levels are shorter.
Thing.
Yeah, it's a thing.
She is an object.
That's not what I meant, you jerk. Now, well, I mean, her campaign is a lot shorter, her levels are a lot shorter, and her story kind of just seems incidental? Kind of,
yeah.
Oh, it's only there just to make sense to an overarching plot that never really is fully built upon until the very, very end.
Right.
Big the Cat fishes, that's it.
Yeah.
Knuckles is all about finding pieces of the Master Emerald that was broken after Robotnik did some shenanigans.
Exactly. It's almost like it's just a collectathon at that point. If you want to compare it to something.
In very condensed stages with a timer. And then you have E102 Gamma, which is a run-and-gun shooter. Which I'm like, how does this fit into the Sonic universe? But regardless, they're still kind of fun. Each and every one has something unique that they bring to the game, but that's just it. There you go. Fountains, get them fountains.
I actually didn't show you scenery.
Oh, you got $6,000. Yeah, you got enough.
I got that. Ooh, whoa,
geysers.
Whoa! How do you even? What is that?
That's a water tornado.
Just freaking water tornadoes.
Yeah.
And we're gonna splash on every side like boosh, boosh, boosh. Actually, let's rotate. So I gotta make sure I got my boosh in the right spot. Yeah, we get some good boosh, boosh. Oh, we got some more. Yeah, it's intense. Scenery.
Jeebus. Anyway, so,
what even is this? It's just a cube.
It's an ice cube, my dude.
Oh, it's an ice cube.
It's a giant ice cube.
Actually, this is kind of neat. Can I put this like over? Yeah, over the footpaths.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, it'll just go between the fountains and splash people.
Dude, that's awesome.
Yeah. This game is full of a lot of unique details.
It is. I love this game.
This is a good game.
Waterfall coming out of nowhere.
With all of those scenarios, not all of them play the best. The Sonic and Tails ones, I argue, kind of play the best, and even then, it could be a little bit not awkward, but it can be of its time, if that makes sense. The movement can kind of feel a little weird. The hitboxes, like when you hit like a spike or something, can feel a little off. But also too, it feels like it kind of takes away.
It's still early, you know?
Right, and I still think the game is good.
Oh yeah, it's very good.
My thing is, with the multiple characters and play styles, I feel like it kind of detracts of what I look for in a Sonic game, which is that sort of like high-speed, bit of level exploration kind of thing. You know what I'm saying?
Aw, did you have to do that?
Yeah.
People puking. Sorry.
Oh man, that water was so intense.
Oh, finally a drink stand. It's not really up to you to what to research. In this one, I believe it's mostly
you can put
just
in the research, but it just determines randomly what you get.
Exactly.
Yeah,
that's floating above it. I need an actual drink stand. This is a good spot over here.
But you know what I'm saying? Like, I appreciate all the variety, and I understand now in retrospect how that would have been a monumental task to cram an entire Genesis Sonic game into a full-on 3D game on the Dreamcast. And get it out on time with the launch of the system. That would be a huge ask.
It's incredible that it happened.
Yes, exactly.
But that's...
And the one thing I will argue, too, the Dreamcast version is the best way to play this game. The GameCube version...
Which is unfortunate.
The GameCube version is is the way I played it, and I'm sure a lot of people out there have played it.
I'm sure it's...
And it's a fine one, but it introduced way too many glitches, because it makes
Weirdly enough, that would become a staple in the Sonic team's repertoire.
Yeah, for some reason.
Yeah.
Like, they can't
port anything.
No, and every other port thereafter is based on the GameCube version. Still, though, I would say give it a shot. It's available on Steam, the Sonic Adventure DX version. Go ahead and give it a shot. The other thing a lot of people complained about before we move on is the exploration, like the hub world system. Like, how you are supposed to progress is not always clear. I always liked exploring those hub worlds and seeing where you could go. And in the GameCube version, finding a bunch of the emblems that they hide throughout the stage. Yeah. That's really fun. It's the first 3D Sonic. It shows, but it's a lot of fun. I still think it holds a lot of value. Anything you want to add at all?
Not really. I mean, this one I've unfortunately not gotten to play hands-on myself yet. I'm much more experienced with Sonic Adventure 2.
Ah, yeah, that's a good one. That is actually a good one.
That is a very good one.
But we can talk about that later when we get to that.
Though I know the first one has some very, very memeable cutscenes.
Oh my gosh, it is so good. Yeah, it's like, I can't do it. The Tails like going, I can't do it. I can't fight Eggman. Go, Tails. You can do it. Tails. It's like, this was amazing. It's so good. But anyway, should we move on then to a game that you are not a big fan of, I know?
Yeah, let's just move on to it.
Yeah.
And you know, I even told Zach going in, I was like, hey Zach, I hate this game, but you know what? I'm going to be playing Roller Coaster Tycoon at the same time, so everything's fine.
It's all copacetic.
Everything's okay.
We're talking about Shenmue.
Shenmue. No, I for the longest time called it Shenmue, and I don't know if that's actually how it's supposed to be.
I think it's Shenmue.
But
whatever.
You know how hard it is to break things like that.
Oh, I
know.
I've
called Pokemon the wrong things for years, and I still can't break that.
Yeah, I used to say it's a good Pokemon, but it's just Pokemon. Yeah.
Pokemon. They want you to say that extra syllable, but yeah.
Whatever. Let's try to get the good out of the way.
Yeah, let's do that.
So
there is good. I will admit.
There's actually a lot of good, I'd argue. Oh gosh, how best to describe it? How did you say? It was like a fighting game open world
like
sim.
Yeah, it's kind of like a... Yeah, that's exactly what I said before this. Never mind. Great. That was great wording right there. That actually makes a lot of sense now that you say that.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad I thought of it.
Yeah. As in, like, you are doing a lot of interesting things all at the same time, which we've kind of seen them elsewhere, but not really, like, all unanimously at the same time.
Right, like, it kind of started here. So, like, the game opens, you're a kid named Ryo Hazuki. You're coming home from being away for a while, and you go to your house, which is also your father's dojo, and you're watching as this guy, clad in, like, green garb, is asking your dad about a mirror. And you watch as your dad is killed in front of your eyes, and it sets you up on this revenge quest in order to find this guy, what this mirror is, and why your dad had to die for it. But that's not important, because as soon as you leave your house, you get to take care of a kitten.
Yep. That don't matter.
It is a 3D open world game that is highly interactable. So you play as Ryo, and you're exploring your town of Yokohama, I believe is what it's called, which is a real city or a real town in Japan, and you're just living your daily life, just trying to figure out what's going on and to get acquainted with the world around you. So there is a day-night cycle. There's time management. So, like, time isn't real time, but it's not one-to-one, like, one real-world minute equals one game minute. It's like one real-world minute, it's like maybe 5 to 10 minutes or something like that.
Right.
But you can go into...
We've seen Ocarina of Time do this, too.
Yes, but you can actually go into people's houses. You can talk to literally everyone you see in this town. They all have something to say. I believe in you. Yes, you can. Or if not, you can use the excavator tool and, like, make a hole in the mountain.
If they let me. I'm not sure if they'll let me in campaigns.
This scenario
yeah, I don't think they
they
lock the ground in campaigns.
And there's a lot to do in these games. So, like I said, there's a kitten who your neighbor finds who you can help take care for. You can buy food for the kitten with your allowance money that you're given every day. You can actually play gacha. So, like, you can go to these little capsule machines. You can put in, like, 100 yen coin, and you get, like, various Sega figures that you can collect throughout the course of the game. There's cassettes you can find. There's, like, shops you can go to. And you can get... Oh, there you go.
I'm just narrowly, like, whizzing by a bunch of shops.
You can get, like, a job. You can make money that way. And all the while, like, everything, like I said, is almost interactable. Like, it goes into, like, a first-person mode, like when you're examining, like, drawers and closets and stuff. And if you find something in there, Ryo will actually pick it up, and you can actually rotate his hand to actually see what it is, and you can choose to take it or put it back. There's a fighting system. You can level up certain attributes in order to be able to get better at, like, punches or kicks or combos.
This is the Virtual Fighter team, so it's kind of where it's coming from.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Because, you know, the whole point of the game is you're trying to get revenge, and so eventually you get into story scenarios where you have to fight your way out of situations, and depending on how well you train or new techniques you're taught by, like, local people determines how well you can actually do in battle. And it's that immersive sim quality to it that I really, really appreciate. And it's the fact that it's an open world 3D game, unlike anything that had come before it. We had some games similar to that, like especially on PC, but nothing, I would argue, as detailed or as cohesive as what we got with Shenmue. And it's that kind of rippling effect that we get that kind of, I think, a lot of games took after, which I wholeheartedly appreciate this game for. However, this being the first game of its kind that does all this stuff is also bound to come with a lot of issues. One of the things I think you mentioned was this was the introduction of the QuickTime event.
Which should have never happened. And I'm so butthurt about this happening, and I blame it all on Shenmue, and I am unjustifiably giving it extra hate for this, but what really I should be disappointed in is people looking at Shenmue and going, that's a good idea, I'm gonna put that in my game, as an excuse to show more cutscenes and not try and think of more creative ways to have player input.
Like, not bore the player and just let
Exactly. That seems to be like what the biggest complaint with the game in general is, that it kind of bores the player with... I mean, think about it. It's kind of like an open life sim thing. Yeah, it's really cool that the game is able to do, like, weather and all that stuff. You can talk to different people who have schedules throughout the day, Majora's Mask style. But, like, what are you doing? You know, the story wasn't, like, gripping people as much, at least... from my interpretation, and at the very least, that's like the consensus I've read.
Right. Well, I think it's the story is not really the point.
I understand.
But my thing, though, if the story was not the point, then why give it such high stakes? Why introduce such melodrama? But I think that's also a part of its charm, is that fact that it's got that weird dichotomy. And also, too, the English dub is laughable and terrible.
Exactly. What's better than one loop?
Yeah. What's better than one loop? Two loops! Multi-loops! Wait. You know what's better than that? After that? Corkscrew.
Oh, I thought you were going to say 3 loops.
We could do 3 loops.
We could do 3 loops.
We could try 3 loops. The story kind of gets butchered in the English translation, although it's so memeable. And that's why I also love it too, because it's so silly. Like, the main character, Ryo, is really wooden, which I don't know if it's just a product of his time, but no, there were games that had some really good acting in them at the time too, so Shenmue really had no business being as wooden. My favorite bit in the whole game is when you're trying to figure out, it's like, there's a connection between these guys with weird thing at the harbor with importing and stuff, and some sailors.
No corkscrews.
And Ryo, everywhere he goes, whenever he talks to people, he always goes, do you know where I can find some sailors? And that's the whole arc until you figure out that you have to go to a bar in order to be able to find some sailors who were there after work.
Just have to hope this is going to work.
And you just sit there and think, buddy, do you know what you're asking when you're saying you're wanting to find some sailors? Not that there's anything wrong with that, but just think in the words of Archer, phrasing.
Yeah.
And also too, I will admit now, it can also be kind of boring because, again, it's more like a vibing kind of game.
Yeah.
And that kind of goes against...
to my fault, is something I can never get into.
Right, which is what we're not used to with a lot of open world games now.
Shoot, it's a 2.
You know what I'm saying? Like, in an open world game, we always expect to be able to do something to further our goal, whereas in this game, it's more about living a life in your hometown, on top of trying to solve this murder. So it's a mixed bag, but it's a mixed bag that is very revolutionary and unfortunately was never going to recoup Sega their lost costs.
No. And it's... Oh, God, no, because this game is one of the worst financial flops of video game history. I think
one of them.
At the time, I think this took the record for the most expensive video game ever made.
I think it was between $70 to $80 million.
Yeah, it's about
overall.
70-80 million. And this game, I think total sold like 1.2-ish. It's low.
Yeah, it sold like 1 million or so copies, which every Dreamcast owner would have had to have purchased. I think it was between like 2 to 5 or 6 copies for the game to just break.
Right. It was failed before it even started. You know.
Well, when you start out
doomed. I shouldn't say failed.
Yeah.
Inevitable. I don't want to call any game a failure.
No.
But,
when you start out as a Sega Saturn game.
Yeah, it's the thing. Yeah, it was just in development forever, and even a lot of that development time counts towards Shenmue 2.
Yes. So we are going way over time, and we've got way too many things to talk about. So let's just try and quickly blast through these next 2 games, which are important and happened.
Yes.
Rayman 2: The Great Escape. Love this game. It came out on everything from the original PlayStation, originally the N64, and the N64 version got ported to the Dreamcast, which is the way I played it, which is an updated version of it. Holy crap, this is such a fun 3D platformer. So Rayman 1 is a tough-as-nails 2D platformer that doesn't tell you squat about nothing. You just have to just hope and pray that you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. However, with Rayman 2, it is kind of openish world, but yet you're kind of going along a set trajectory of levels, which is a lot of fun. It's a very whimsical game. Rayman, for some reason, doesn't use his fists to fight anymore like he did in the first game. He shoots orbs out of his hands that he gets from Lee the Fairy.
Okay.
How would you go about doing, like, aiming your fists in a 3D game and have to account for 3D trajectories of your fists, not only to go out, but to come back to you?
Oh, dang it.
You know?
I was trying.
So close.
So close. You see what I'm trying to do.
But the orbs were just an easier way of doing things. A lot of the combat in this game is very ranged, which is fine. The world of the Toons has been taken over by robot pirates. Everyone is enslaved. The lums that have powered the world are dispersed, and everyone is sad. And I say this game is whimsical.
Isn't it the looms?
I say lums.
Okay, that's another one of those stupid pronunciation things.
I mean,
I'm pretty sure, because I always said lums too, and then I could have sworn I read somewhere it's actually supposed to be pronounced looms.
Loom because they're luminescent.
Yeah, makes sense.
I say lums. Screw it. Whatever. Don't care.
Who cares about Rayman lore?
I kind of do. Not really. It's called The Great Escape, but you escape within the first 5 minutes of the game. Mm-hmm. But the whole point is that you're trying to go up against Razorbeard and his crew of evil pirates. But to do that, it's a collectathon. You have to find all 100 or so of the golden lums, and you're supposed to bring light back to the world by awakening an ancient god who has a funny top hat. Mm-hmm. And it's a lot of fun. There's jumping, there's climbing, there's like monkey bar climbing, you can swim. Everyone talks to you. The snake who pulls you through the swamp level talks to you, and you never see him again. And he gets so sad because he's like, oh, okay, I don't see anybody out here in the swamp much. Bye, Rayman. Yeah, bye, dude. Mm-hmm. I'm never coming back here again. But it's such a fun game, and it's, I think, the best of the original trilogy of Rayman games. Mm-hmm. Personally, it's a lot of fun.
Sure. Yeah, I'll give you that.
It was ported to everything. Like, there was even...
it's kind of why we're talking about it now, in between consoles. Yes. Because we didn't know where to put it.
Yeah, I mean, there was a version for the 3DS, for pity's sake, and the original DS.
Goodness.
And those games do not fit. That game does not fit on the DS or the 3DS all that well.
No.
But, it's really fun. Please play it, especially if you're a fan
of... Is that what HITBOX is turning into anymore?
It's a recommendation list.
Please play this.
I don't know how else to end it. You give me an idea of how to end these segments.
So, also on the Dreamcast.
Seaman!
Seaman! Isn't that funny? Just look it up. It's funny. That's all we needed to say. Seaman. Yeah. Seaman happens this year. Whatever.
Yeah, microphone, little fishies that with faces. They talk to you.
From Leonard Nimoy. If we're going to be talking about the Sega Dreamcast ever, we got to talk about Seaman. And that's really the end of the conversation about Seaman, though.
We are moving on to a competitor to Sega. We are moving to the PlayStation. Mm-hmm. And some of these games we're going to go into detail, and we'll have to skip over a little bit. But we are going to open up with Ape Escape.
Yeah.
Oh my god, this game is so much fun.
I know you love this one.
I absolutely adore this game. So, the DualShock... Dang it. So, the PlayStation, for those who don't know, did not come out originally with a controller that had analog sticks. It was a digital D-pad, which did not really help with 3D gaming all that much, which Sony saw what Nintendo did with its controller and thought, you know what? We need a control stick, but we gotta one-up Nintendo. Well, how do we do that? We get 2 analog sticks. Well, what do we do?
It works.
It does. No, it absolutely does.
I mean, as compared to what the heck was Sega thinking with that Dreamcast controller?
They weren't.
They weren't.
Well, yeah, they were thinking about it, but they were thinking in the wrong terms with the VMU.
Right.
With the memory card.
Yeah.
With the screen.
But anyway. Sorry, I didn't mean to tangent you there.
That's okay.
But that's...
It is something to get used to.
It happened.
Yeah. This controller actually would set the standard that I think Microsoft would eventually get right with the Xbox 360 with the introduction of two analog sticks. Mm-hmm. So they're like, well, what do we do with the second analog stick? One's going to be for movement.
God, I can't get out of this corner.
So in order to capitalize on this, Sony actually created the game Ape Escape, which uses both analog sticks in really creative ways. Mm-hmm. So the left stick moves, as you would think, and by clicking the stick, you actually go into a prone position where you can crouch or curl up into the fetal position to hide from enemies. With the other stick, that controls all of your gadgets that you get to catch the monkeys, because monkeys have gone through time to try to make it so that way monkeys control the world.
It's not exactly the most creatively written thing ever.
No, it's not Shakespeare, but it gets the job done, and the monkeys are cool. I love the fact that they have their own personalities, and there's like different monkeys. The yellow pants ones are the most normal. The white pants ones have like all the technology. The blue run from you and everything. It's really fun. So say you have the stun club and the net.
Out of here.
The stun club and the net, which are the first 2 gadgets you get in order to start catching monkeys. You go to the stun club, and what it does in order to use it, you flick the right stick in any direction, and your character will actually chop with it in that specific direction. Or if you twirl the stick continuously, he'll just stand in place and pirouette like a ballerina with it, and he gets a protective ring around him from this. Same with the net. You flick the stick, and he just tries to catch something with it. It's useless in everything else except to catch monkeys. That's why you have to have it. You get other cool gadgets. You get like a rotating paddle, which you use as like a sort of helicopter to get you into high places. And you have to keep rotating the stick in order to go up. And if you keep rotating it, you actually float down instead of just going, oh no, I'm about to lose all my health if I just hit the ground. And each different gadget utilizes the right stick in interesting ways in order to make it so that way it's never boring to use any of the different gadgets, and each one has a specific purpose. Not all of them are as impactful as some, but each one is unique enough that really, I think, it sells the idea of 2 analog sticks on a controller. The levels are a lot of fun. They're condensed levels, and it's, again, a collectathon where you have to catch a certain amount of monkeys in order to progress to the next stage. Once you get a certain amount, you're automatically kicked out of the level. But if you want the true ending to go 100%, you have to go back into the level to get the rest of the monkeys, which is a bit of a drag. But it's like, whatever. You putting some block breaks on this?
Dang it, just missed. I don't think it's that fast. That's the thing. I don't know what the inertia is just
so block
like yet.
breaks allow you to have multiple trains, though. So if you get some breaks and some block breaks,
I feel like for one, I think I needed to turn this direction anyway.
Yeah. It's a very Saturday morning cartoon kind of vibe. It's mainly innovative just because of the right stick, and it's such a fun game for it. Anything you wanted to add about it?
It's extremely hard to emulate, even though I don't know what that word means. And
why would you do that?
I don't know, because it's impossible to play.
It is. It really is. And that's just it. There's no really good legal way to really get
There
it
isn't.
right now.
And even just breaking down the joke and actually straight up talking about it, what's so annoying about it is the game itself is actually hard-coded to detect that specific DualShock controller.
Yep.
So even if you are emulating it in some way where you are playing it with a controller with DualShock on it, or even just 2 analogs, any way that you can actually, even if you could tell the thing, like remap it and say this is what the second controller is, or the second analog is, it won't work.
Nope.
It has to be that controller.
Yep. It has to either be the PlayStation 1, 2, or even the 3, I think. But after that, it's like, no, it can't.
Such a shame.
It really is. And that's just, I mean, I understand the march of time and progress. Like, we have to kind of, like, move on and, like, innovate, but it's like...
I don't want to lose things to history.
No.
Speaking of losing things to history, Zach, do you realize this is the last day, today, as we record this, that the 3DS and Wii U eShops are live, and it was when people see this video, they're living in a horrible dystopian future where that is not true. Now let's move on.
Yeah.
Let's move on, because I don't think we can recover from that. That would... Honestly, I thought of making an entire episode about that, but I don't think we want to stomach it. We want to enjoy ourselves on this show and have a good time. Let's not...
Although, I will say, for anyone out there, the Completionist put out a video where he actually went and bought every single digital game from the 3DS and Wii U shops.
He did.
And he preserved them. And
yes, and it was for the sake of preservation through legality, because he wants to make sure there's no stinking gray area. I've not even seen the video myself yet, but I could appreciate, obviously, what that is. And we need, unfortunately, a very wealthy person who is very invested in this and cares about this so that they can do it. Unfortunately, to really preserve it for real, it can't just be something that they own. It needs to be something that everyone can access. It's still dead for everybody else.
I mean, it's not to the point... video games are not to the point that movies and books are, where
I should let this test.
You can still actually get certain movies from, like, the 1940s pretty easily.
I still can't watch the original Star Wars films.
No, you can't, right, and that's a shame. And that's
that makes me really mad. Those were actually really special to my childhood, and I would love to watch those.
Same.
And I can't.
Absolutely. But anyway...
yeah, sorry. We shouldn't be able to be derailing this much in an episode where we're not even halfway. Zach, are we going to have to do the thing that I think we're going to have to do?
We might. Silent Hill deserves, though, which is the next thing we're talking about.
Yeah,
Silent Hill deserves a little bit of discussion.
I think it does, and you know what? I think the rest of these games do as well. To be fair, I think we're going to have to split this one into 2 parts. I'm sorry about that, guys, but you probably saw that coming. So I think we're at a good stopping point if we talk about Silent Hill.
Yeah, Silent Hill. All right.
This was not on your list originally. What were you thinking?
I was thinking of Silent Hill 2.
Oh god, I just accidentally
Turned it into a queue.
I turned a Q and I blocked off the whole. Whoops! There we go. That was a big oopsie.
Everyone's like, oh wait, there's a queue to get. Oh wait.
And the thing that's scaring me is I still don't know how scary my ride is yet.
Yeah, you'll have to check the stats here in a sec.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, Silent Hill is basically Konami's answer to Capcom's Resident Evil.
Mm-hmm.
Although
what an answer.
Yeah, absolutely. It goes from more being like a body horror kind of like thriller to a psychological horror.
Yes.
Now, there's a lot of body horror in the Silent Hill series.
It totally is.
But there's way more in terms of like looking at it from like a character standpoint. And like from like just getting into your head.
What happened here?
Delete that one that's key that's
maybe this.
Yeah, delete that. There you go.
This game gets weird sometimes.
Yep.
No, wait, that ain't right.
Nope. Level it out.
We gotta go level, and then we go down.
There
Now
you
I gotta
go.
reconnect this.
Oh,
Oh dear.
Anyway, so
sorry,
Silent-
didn't mean to do that. This weird things can happen in this.
that's all right. So Silent Hill.
I haven't gotten to play it to completion yet because
Yeah,
honestly, the game
same.
gets me a little nauseous, and that's one of the things that was actually really cool about it.
Yeah.
Not that it makes you nauseous, but like the camera would like wobble. It does all sorts of like intense camera
Yeah.
movements to like try and make you feel really nervous and tense. It takes fog to its advantage.
Yes.
One, to make sure that it's loading things properly so you don't see it, but also you don't know what's out there. You hear things, you can like see things move, brush by, and it's such a great concept for a horror game.
Yeah. So the way the game works is that I don't think it's tank controlling, if I remember correct.
I thought it was.
Okay.
I thought that's what was also getting me really sick too, because of because it still will have sort of like Resident Evil's fixed cameras.
Yes,
and
that's what I
some
was
of those,
gonna say.
man, are. I want to call them just bad, but they're clearly there for atmosphere.
Yeah, it's
but in
disorienting.
terms of gameplay, it feels bad.
Right, because at the very beginning, like you're playing as a dad who's driving with his daughter to their new home, but they get, but then, but however, unfortunately, they get stuck in a place called Silent Hill where his daughter goes missing, and so the whole thing is about him coming to terms with himself as a person and him trying to come to his terms with being a father and trying to find his daughter Cheryl.
I'll let you guys watch this coaster we just built.
Oh yeah. So
The loop 1,
loop one,
loop 2.
loop 2.
Oh, you thought that was cool? Get wait for loop 3.
Oh, and you alternate the direction of the loops. That's good.
I did, yeah.
Yeah,
Because
I
I was
like that.
desperately trying to like weave in here, maximize space. Because that's another important thing. I don't want to keep getting back on this, but the reason I was fidgeting with that for so long was to make sure I'm maximizing my real estate. Because if I just like went out into where I don't have space, now I'm making it harder for myself later when I have to build stuff.
Yeah. What are the stats actually?
Yeah, we have to wait for that to finish its round, but it will show me complete stats here.
There we go.
High excitement, high intensity,
Nothing is in the
medium
red.
nausea.
Good.
Ka-ching!
Money. That is money right
Heck
there.
yeah. Oh, $2?
No, man.
Dude, no.
This is a new ride. You can charge 7.
We could charge.
So-
We can charge 9.
Those are rookie numbers. We gotta pump those numbers up.
Pump it up. You guys are just the people to tell other people about how cool this is.
That's right.
Now you get on there and you get going.
We can also check the thoughts on the people to see if they say this is a
want
good
to ride
value.
it. Yep, that's another cool thing that they can do. Now that we know we have to inevitably split this video.
Yeah.
I want to go on Snake River Falls. Hey, come on. You want to go on whatever I called this thing. We're going to name it.
Number 1.
Number 1, looping coaster number 1.
Nah.
It's the only part you actually need the keyboard.
Good, the ellipses fit.
Yeah, it fits. Cooler than 2 loops? Maybe. Why didn't it take it? Oh, I hit enter. I hit enter.
So anyway, as you fix that back up, how does the game...
Rain! Money!
Money! Okay, yeah. there we go.
Enter. You want to ride cooler than 2? They are paying that.
Oh, they're
man.
paying
They are
$9.
paying $10.
There you go.
I mean, they got in for free to this park.
Yeah.
I mean, that's another thing we
That's-
got to keep in mind.
Those are the easier scenarios, I find.
Yes, it is. Mechanically, for the way it works, I know not in like real life. That's the thing that I've actually heard them discuss. I know we're getting off topic again for like the Planet Coaster games. They said we really wanted to make it more realistic. Like big theme parks charge a lot up front, and then the rides are free.
Yeah.
Like we want that to work, but the thing is, we also need time to pass faster than real life. So if people are in your park for what is actually, if you follow a person around for like 5 months, they just ruined you because they're supposed to be there for like half a day.
Yep, exactly. But how does Silent Hill play? Well, Silent Hill, like we said, is a survival horror game. I think we said that.
Yeah.
It is a silent.
Did we say that?
It's a survival horror game.
That's pretty important.
So the whole point is
That's
about...
the best thing for them to say. I'm running out of cash.
Oh, yeah. Ooh.
Wait, do we have an ATM? Do you have access to an ATM?
I don't think I've got ATMs.
Oh, that's a shame.
Yeah, because that's the way to get more.
Yeah. But anyway, so it's all about resource management, trying to find new items and weapons to progress, and to fight off the horrors that the town throws at you.
Mm-hmm.
And there are weird horrors. Like, at the beginning, it's nothing, like, too out of the ordinary. Like, you've got, like, demon bats and, like, skinned dogs.
Yeah.
That kind of
you say that's not too out of the ordinary.
For horror? No.
Well, at the time, though, it's still freaky.
Yeah, no, yeah, it's still freaky. What makes it scarier is that you actually carry a radio with you, and an alarm sounds anytime there's a threat nearby you.
Yeah.
So, and like you said, in conjunction with the fog, you don't know where that thing is. It could be anything, and so you're like, oh geez, oh no, oh please, oh no, I don't want to die. It really plays up the horror elements, and I think that's its best aspect of this game. It's the atmosphere, the horror, and the story.
Yeah.
The gameplay is fine. The moment-to-moment control is a little iffy, but the gameplay loop of finding save points, solving puzzles, getting into fights still holds up pretty well, I'd argue.
Yeah, I think it does pretty well.
And it's left a lasting legacy, one that has yet to be carried out still, because some people had to just...
Why do you gotta end stuff like that?
Hey, you're the one who brought me down with the 3DS.
I only like 2 weeks ago found out about PT.
Oh, that's right. I forgot. I'm so sorry.
I know. Anyway,
well, you gotta take the good with the bad, and so far this year is a straight up banger, all things considered.
Yeah,
so far.
it is, and I like the fact that now we're at the point where you can comfortably choose what kind of game that you want to play, and not just like this is the next big thing that is really cool to play this year.
Yep.
Because I mean, kind of, we've had them beforehand, genre-defining things, but now we're getting wildly different things that are great at doing what they're doing, and they're doing a lot of things that they've learned from the past at this point. So that's really, really cool to see.
Exactly.
Unfortunately, though, we are out of time, and we're gonna have to talk about some more things that have happened in 1998 before the big bad millennia kicks over, and we get some really crazy stuff that's gonna start happening really fast. Because then we're gonna full on be in the 3D era.
Yeah.
I mean, we're dipping our toe in.
Oh yeah, we're not in it full blast yet.
No, as soon as the PS2 and the GameCube are out, this is
it's over.
Yeah,
it's
this is gonna be nuts.
but.
I don't know how we're gonna do this, but we're gonna try. Hopefully, it's not all gonna be 2-part episodes, and we're gonna learn how to keep our mouths shut.
I'm so sorry, folks.
We're trying.
We are.
Yeah.
We really are.
But anyway, pay more money on my Ferris wheel. Gosh darn it. And, yeah.
So anyway.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for watching and joining us for this episode of HITBOX while I am trying to say the outro while connecting this thing at the same time, which I could definitely do, and then open my ride. Yeah, I did it, see? If you enjoyed the show, you can help us keep it alive by supporting us on Patreon with the links in the show notes in this video's description. For those of you on YouTube, remember to like the video and subscribe for more, and be sure to let us know what you thought of the show and what other topics you'd like to hear us cover in the future, and special thanks to all of our amazing Patreon members.
See you.